At 69 years old, Dale Jarrett has spent 5 decades in the fastest sport in America. He's won the Daytona 500, claimed the championship, and stood in victory lane countless times. When reflecting on a lifetime of achievement, he didn't dwell on his trophies or records. Instead, he asked himself, "Who shaped me? Who made me who I am?" His answer reveals 5 people whose influence on his life extended far beyond the track. Admiration operates differently than fame. It's about influence. It's about the people who changed how you see the world, who showed you something essential that you needed to see. Over the course of Dale's life, 5 pivotal relationships left an indelible mark on his character, his work ethic, and his approach to life after racing. The first is his father, Ned Jarrett. A 2-time NASCAR Cup Series champion with 54 victories, Ned was synonymous with respect and class in a sport not always known for either. But the lesson Dale absorbed wasn't about winning races. It was about how to live while racing. Ned made a choice early in his career, one that was almost unthinkable in NASCAR circles at the time. He decided that family came first. When his children were young, he stepped back from racing during certain seasons to be present. In the 1960s and 70s, this wasn't how champions were supposed to behave. They were supposed to be consumed by their sport. All in. No compromise. Ned believed something different. He believed that a man's true measure wasn't what he won on the track, but who he was off it. How he treated his wife. How he showed up for his children. How he carried himself among competitors. And Dale watched his father turn down races and decline sponsorship deals to attend his son's school events. When Dale became a father himself, he didn't need to deliberate. He had already learned the answer by watching. The second person is Richard Petty, the king. Richard and Dale competed in the same era, pushing each other hard on track. What Dale admired most wasn't Petty's speed or his 7 championships. It was his consistency over time. Richard Petty raced for more than 30 years. In that span, he became inseparable from NASCAR itself. He could have retired after his 3rd or 4th championship, cashed in on his legend, and lived comfortably off endorsements. Instead, he kept showing up. He kept competing. He kept pushing even as the window of opportunity began to close. He did this with the same professionalism, as the same graciousness, whether he won by a mile or finished 30 positions back. Dale watched Petty handle both victory and disappointment with unshakable class. No excuses, no complaints. Just, "That's racing. We'll try again next week." In a sport built on ego and bravado, Petty was distinct, a champion so confident in himself that he didn't need constant validation. He could be humble, he could be kind, and somehow, that only magnified his stature. Your legacy, Dale came to understand, isn't measured by how many times you raise your arms in victory. It's measured by how you carry yourself through everything in between. The third is Ray Fox. Ray was a mechanic and crew chief who thought about racing differently than almost anyone else at the time. While other teams made incremental improvements, Ray was engineering revolutions. What Dale admired about Ray was his obsession with detail. Ray understood a fundamental truth. Races aren't won by the best driver. They're won by the best preparation, by crews who leave nothing to chance, by people working long after the stands empty, fine-tuning, testing, perfecting. Ray demanded perfection from himself and his team. Not competence, not adequacy, perfection. Dale saw that standard and recognized he had no excuse not to match it. It created a cycle. Ray's standards pushed Dale. Dale's commitment pushed Ray. Together, they elevated each other beyond what either could have achieved alone. Ray never sought credit. He was most content in the shop, invisible to most fans, doing work that only mattered in the moments of consequence. That humility, that willingness to do great things in obscurity, resonated with Dale. It taught him that greatness isn't about visibility. It's about excellence, regardless of whether anyone's watching. The fourth is his wife, Kelly. Kelly stood beside Dale through championship seasons and devastating losses, through injuries that nearly ended his career, through the transitions and changes that define a life lived partly in public. What Dale admired about Kelly was her unshakable belief. She didn't marry a champion. She married a driver, someone full of doubt, struggling to prove himself in the shadow of his father's legacy. When the world doubted, Kelly didn't. She saw something in Dale that he couldn't always see in himself. A champion's life depends on many external factors: equipment, team, timing, luck. But underneath all of that is a single person who believes you can succeed when you don't believe it yourself. Who reminds you who you are when you've forgotten. Who loves you the same, whether you finish first or last. Kelly was that person. Dale learned from her that the person who stands beside you is as important to your success as your own talent. You cannot achieve extraordinary things alone. Gratitude, genuine daily gratitude, is the foundation of everything that matters. The fifth brings the arc full circle. As Dale got older, he realized his deepest admiration for his father wasn't just about Ned the champion. It was about Ned as a man facing the same question Dale now confronts. How do I matter when I'm no longer racing? Ned retired at 51. He walked away from professional racing while still relevant, still capable. He then built a different life, one of service, commentary, and mentorship. He became the voice of NASCAR. He became the conscience of the sport. Dale watched his father navigate that transition, reinvent himself, keep his core intact while moving forward. Now, in his late 60s, Dale is living through that same shift. The fire to race hasn't died, but the body demands acceptance. The question becomes urgent. Who am I if I'm not Dale Jarrett, the driver? The answer, Dale found, is written in the life of the man who came first. His father showed him how it's done. 5 people, 5 lessons. Ned Jarrett taught him that integrity doesn't devalue. Richard Petty taught him that consistency matters more than brilliance. Ray Fox taught him that greatness lives in unseen details. Kelly taught him that behind every achievement is someone who believed first. In reflecting on who shaped him most, Dale learned something essential. The people we admire aren't always the most famous. They're the ones who shape us quietly, who live their values when no one's watching, who show us that excellence is a daily choice. At 69, Dale Jarrett understands who he is because of these 5 people. Their influence made him who he became.